Inside the Triangle, the Decker Truckline Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Inside the Triangle with your host, Aaron Ladley. And today I have a guest, one of our drivers, the first lady driver that I've had since we started this. It is Crystal. I believe it's pronounced Haun. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right, Crystal. So, Crystal, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where do you live?
I live in a small town outside of Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Born and raised there?
Yes. I did spend a 7-year stint in...
Well, you rephrase that. A stint could be prison.
Right. I was a kid, but I spent it in Idaho, in the Snake River Valley, around Idaho Falls.
There's a big contrast between Idaho and Oklahoma. So
that's why my accent is sometimes questioned where I'm from, because I don't sound like I'm from Oklahoma, but I say fixin' and y'all. So then they're like, well, you're not from around here either.
So what ages were you in Idaho?
7 to 14.
7 to 14. Okay. So the formative years then.
Very formative.
Okay.
It made me who I am today. So I am very appreciative of that.
So how did you end up back in Oklahoma again?
Just was time for a change from there.
Well, at 14, I hope your parents moved you there?
Unfortunately, I was raised by an aunt and uncle there, and then I moved back to live with my grandmother, who finished raising me, or I raised myself. And thank goodness for the formative years. That's all I have to say about that.
So you graduated from school there in Oklahoma?
Yes.
Okay. Did you go on to any after schooling, any college, junior college, VOTEC?
I did. I went on to school for a little while. I did a vocation during high school for 2 years to do medical assisting. I did that for a while. Then college, I did a couple of semesters, and I kind of got bored of that, and I was like, I'll just work full time. And I went on and got a few extra certifications while I was, developing some experience. I became a certified medical coder. I ended up doing that for about almost 20 years, and I liked it in the beginning, and then I just got bored, had a wonderful job and all that, and one day I was like, I cannot sit at this desk another 8 hours, and I decided it's time to start truck driving. So I call it my midlife crisis.
But why truck driving? What drew you to truck driving? I mean, was it, I see the trucks going up and down the road, and I want to do that. I can see the world.
Actually, my grandmother and both of my uncles that raised me, all three of them did it whenever I was really little, and they did it. My grandmother did it while my mom and her brothers were in their teenage years. So I always kind of wanted to do that. Wanted to do it whenever I was about 21. Then I started having babies, and I didn't think that was going to be a good time to start truck driving. I was tired of the same old 8 to 5. I did have a wonderful job. I really did, but I was just tired of that. I was ready for a change, and I am so grateful that I did. This feels like what I was meant to do.
So how many children do you have?
I have two. I have a 17 and an 18-year-old son. 17?
Boy, you don't look that old. Did you start really young?
No.
Okay.
I was like, I don't know.
You just happen to look really young, right?
That's what happens when you're a little bit on the thicker side. It fills out the wrinkles. It keeps you looking young.
That's why I keep this weight on, so I can fill out the wrinkles.
It's a true story. I mean, that's one way I'm afraid to lose too much weight, because then I'm going to age 10 years. So I was like, let's stay here.
So you went to a truck driving school, I assume?
Yeah.
You don't have to make that face. Everybody starts somewhere, okay?
Unfortunately, I did sign up for a truck driving school.
You and 10,000 others a year, but yes, go ahead.
It was a horrible experience. I did make some really good friends. It got me where I'm at now. If I didn't go there, I don't know.
Did you go to their Benton Harbor one or out to Utah? Where did you?
No, I was at the one, it's the Valparaiso. It's in Indiana.
Okay.
Yeah, I went there in March. It was yucky weather. It was a horrible facility. As many students as they have there, you would think that they would have a little bit nicer setup, but unfortunately they don't. They just rush you through there. I'm very proud of the group that I was in. There was we were all assigned to a group. There was 10 of us, and out of the 10, 8 of us passed on our first time.
Wow.
Which most of the other groups was like 1 or 2, but helped my group do a study group, and we would go over the pre-trip and all that good stuff in the evening.
So was that the mom and you coming out to be the mentor of the group? Is that what you
Not
think?
the mom. It's we're going to do this. We're the best. We're not slackers, and let's get the heck out of here.
Okay.
Like, we don't if you didn't pass, then you have to wait 2 or 3 more days before you can get another retest, and we want it out.
So I show that you came here in May, beginning of May of
Yes.
last year. You had about 2 months experience, and then you came to us. Now I know you went out with a trainer, because back then we had some training programs. So you went out with a trainer. So how was that experience for you?
Training here at the facility, like orientation and training here. Now that was a very informative week, and I did enjoy it. I enjoyed getting to know everybody. The trainer, I ended up having 2 trainers. I had one that we didn't really see eye to eye. It was her first trainee ever, and we didn't communicate very well, and it just wasn't a good fit. I didn't feel like I was learning.
It happens.
And then I got another trainer, and I talked to her on occasion at first. We still communicated quite a bit, but after time, you just kind of lose it. But she helped me out a lot. She took me under her wing. In fact, she went on home time one time to Alabama to see a friend, and they were having a crawfish boil. And that was the first I've ever done that. So she took me with her, and they let me stay in their home and had a good old party and crawfish and all that. And then shortly after that, the truck broke down, and they're like, "Oh, okay, Crystal, you're done training. Let's get you a rental car and go up to Ohio and recover a vehicle and recover a truck, and you can get on down the road now." So that's how that went.
So training's done. Now you're out on your own. How's your experience been so far since I know it's been some ups and downs, some good, some bads, and you're in the reefer side. You're in the Midwest reefer.
I'm in the Western reefer now.
You are? When did you move to the Western reefer?
Oh, about a year ago.
A year ago? No way.
Yes.
Who's your dispatcher?
Drew Cardy.
Oh,
he's
geez.
so freaking awesome.
Okay.
I mean, if it wasn't for Drew, he makes my day better. He really does. He is an awesome dispatcher.
Good. So, okay, so you're running all over then. So
I am all over minus. I have not been to New York, and I'm not complaining.
Hey, Drew, we're going to fix that.
No.
All right.
No, he takes really good care of me, and I really don't have any complaints. Wherever he sends me, I'm going to go. I don't tell him no. And I try not to ever really suggest any, because I feel like if I suggest somewhere, it's going to bring me bad karma, and that's going to be horrible. This last year, I was very lucky. I didn't have any, or maybe one snowstorm that I didn't like. For the most part, I got to miss some horrible weather just because of the luck of where they.
You better be knocking on that wood of that table, because you know what's coming up here shortly again.
Hey,
right?
I said it all last year, and I'm still saying it because I just go with the flow.
So you didn't get it caught in any of them snowstorms out in Wyoming or Montana or out in Washington or anything?
Well, I was stuck on the truck stop because the road was closed, but I wasn't stuck on the side of the road.
Okay.
And I didn't have to chain up. And one bad storm in Salt Lake, they were putting in the chain up laws, and I was about out of it, and I just got on in there. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. I got done unloading at 9, and snow was gone. I'm like, really? All those trucks on the side of the road 6 hours ago, and now it's all gone.
So reefer, that's a little bit different than dry van and flatbed. So why'd you choose reefer? Or did it choose you?
Well, we'll go back to the reason I don't have wrinkles. My physique does not really work with the flatbed division, and I might be a little clumsy. So I didn't want to do that. I don't really want to mess with those tarps. I'm telling you, there's some women out there I think they're amazing that do that job. It's just not for me. Mm-hmm. And I don't mind doing the reefer. Occasionally I have to climb in the back of that trailer, and that's enough for me.
So what about the freight style? I mean, we deal a lot with the meatpacking plants, and I always say there's a couple of different styles of trucking. So reefer is probably one of the hardest. Flatbed is probably the hardest, I think, maybe other than maybe a loose tanker or something like that, or livestock. But flatbed because of the loading and the untarping and the tarping and the chaining. But reefer, I mean, it's very time sensitive, very temperature sensitive. You really got to watch what you're doing. You're going to be dealing with a lot of customer issues that a lot of people don't really deal with. Dry van, I'm sorry. Don't take this wrong, guys, but any idiot could drive a dry van, okay? You just close the doors, lock it, gone, who cares? I mean, but reefer takes a certain temperament. Do you agree with that?
I do. Definitely whenever I'm instructed to give one temperature, and then the facility I'm picking up, it says it's this one, and then I send in my macro, and they're like, hey, that doesn't match. I'm like, well, that's what I was instructed. Like, well, you need to change it. And then I do change, of course, because we're trying to deliver the best product that we can to our customers and everything like that. So I, of course, change it. It's just sometimes and then constantly watching that little green light out your side mirror there, make sure it stays green, make sure you don't get low on fuel, and they call you in the middle of the night, hey, you're running low on fuel. And
Have you had that happen before?
yes,
Okay.
but it wasn't my fault. It was the gas gauge wasn't working because I had already filled up and it just wasn't registering.
How about Qualcomm? How's that? We're going to Geotab here shortly. So have you had any issues, or does Qualcomm treat you pretty well?
It was until this recent update that we got. I'm having an issue with my location is not recording, and I constantly have the red light that I have an issue, and I don't like to see that because then I'm like, ooh, I just did something to set off a critical event, but that's not it. The Qualcomm it's okay. I love the TransFlow app. I'm so thankful that we have that.
Yep.
I wouldn't want to deal with just the Qualcomm all day long.
Yeah, I do it myself. I mean, it's so much simpler. You can be anywhere. You could be in the truck stop. You can be at home. You can be sending your paperwork in, bing, bang, boom, and you're done. Once this Geotab is up and it's running and we're at full strength, basically it's going to be the same thing. So I think it's going to be a lot smoother system. So that should help a little bit.
I love that. That TransFlow is actually all the apps that you can use for trucking. It's just made it super simple. And I hope that all of our drivers do take advantage of all those apps out there. Definitely with, the Pilot and the Flying J being able to fuel it without ever getting out of your truck. You can just enter it all in right there and you don't have to mess with your cards.
How about the CAT? Do you use the CAT scale app?
Yes.
Okay.
And then that way it just emails you your receipt and you can look at it right then and you don't have to find a place to park. Sometimes it's late at night when we go to these meat packing plants. It's hard to go to the scale and then find a place to park your truck to go in and get that scale ticket and then get back in your truck. I mean, that sometimes is difficult. So using that app it saves us some time. And if you can't keep track of where you put your receipt or whatever, but if you use the app, I have found that you don't. And when you use your card, you don't have to have that receipt.
Yeah, so you don't have to scan it in. It's already taken care of, right. Done, bing, bang, doom. So equipment, okay. So how many trucks have you had since you've been here in your year?
I have one.
One?
Her name is Stella. She's rocking it.
She's rocking it?
She's my baby. I have a little scratch on her right now. This poor little deer jumped out in front of us, but it's okay. Gives her character. Yes.
And so Stella is a 2000.
I think she's a.
What number are you? Well, I don't want to give out that. So, I mean.
We're in the 28s.
Okay. All right. So you probably.
I think I'm the 17, 18. I think it's right there on the verge of whenever the manufacturing year is.
Okay.
I've been told.
So you've got the 10-speed automatic still.
Yes.
Okay. Well, what a face. Did you see that face, Kate?
I absolutely hate
it.
Hate it. I don't hate her.
Yes.
I'm not going to talk bad about her.
Yeah, don't
we're a team.
Okay.
But
hey, I always say we're getting close. They're getting out of here. It's just going to take a little while. But yeah, it is a challenge to use, especially backing. That 10-speed automatic is a challenge, but it builds character, right?
It does. And sometimes when I'm backing up and you're at a truck stop and everybody is watching, of course, that's what you do when you're sitting there. And I am bouncing all over the place. I just smile and laugh at them. And then if anybody walks up to me later, I'm like, I just want to let you know that wasn't me. But that is a daily rodeo up in that truck. I'm telling you when I'm backing up.
Yeah, I've said that since the day we got those trucks. Man, there's an issue here. So luckily they've got the issue now with the 12-speed. So they will be gone pretty soon. So, but the amenities in the truck, have you got Epic View in yours?
I do have Epic View.
Okay.
I watch it on occasion if I can keep up with where I've put the remote. The prep shop.
Velcro? If you Velcroed
it? Because of the 10-speed that I have that then jumps all over the place, Velcro really doesn't work that well in my truck. But the prep shop has been very kind to me. I did misplace one remote. Okay. And they got me another one. So now that's an ongoing joke with them that I lose my remotes, but I do misplace them. So occasionally I do watch that big view. Okay. And I'm very thankful for that. I'm thankful for the refrigerator. That saves tons of money. I'm not eating out all the time.
Microwave?
Yes, got a microwave.
So the amenities, I mean, the trucks have changed so much in the last few years, but the APU. So your scorecard wise, you have your up down months and you have your down months. Unfortunately, this was a down month this month here, but the month before was an up month, and she's got her head in the air and she's looking like that.
Well, it's because now I can't say mine. If I know it's going to be one of those months that I'm going to go home once or twice, then I'm not looking forward to the scorecard. Mm-hmm. Of course, now I'm minus last month. I've always gotten the Smart Drive 1 cent bonus. Yep. And that's where I'm trying to stay, actually. That's the good thing. Now this month in October, I know that I'm going to work hard. I'm not going home at all this month. So I'm expecting myself to get a good score on that scorecard.
So speaking of Smart Drive, so you're always getting the Smart Drive bonus. What do you think of Smart Drive? I mean, how does it for you?
Well, that's kind of difficult. There's a reason there, because sometimes you might get a little comfortable with your driving and maybe somebody does stop or slowing down that you don't really recognize and you're not having a safe following distance. Yes, I think that's a good thing. I think in the middle of Chicago traffic and some other things, it kind of is beating our head against the wall because you are trying to make it through that traffic and you're like, if this thing beeps one more time, I'm going to lose it.
Yeah.
But there's been a couple of times where it has put on the brakes and startled me when I didn't think that was an appropriate time for it to go ahead and do an automatic braking. But for the most part, I don't really have a problem with it.
Okay, what about the cameras?
Well, I guess I kind of like them, considering I called in on Monday to tell them my cameras weren't working. And so that's why I'm here today, is so that I could have that fixed and put in there. It does give me kind of a sense of security to know that there's a camera facing forward in case somebody or something does happen and I'm not at fault, or maybe somebody else, not even I'm involved in, maybe that could help somebody else protect them or without being at fault for something. And the last couple of days of driving, I'm like, man, it's one of those things. I'm hoping I stay clear of everybody because I don't need that camera.
And that's what it's there for. Is it should a sense of security that I know my butt's covered if something happens. As long as it's not my fault, I mean, we're good to go. But it's saved a lot of our drivers a lot of time and downtime because of, it's a he said she said thing.
I'm not really fond of the interfacing ones because I will be honest, I have had a call from Patrice, and I mean, he's got that voice. As soon as he's like, "Hey, Crystal," I'm like, "Oh, what'd I do this time?"
As soon as that French accent comes, you're in trouble.
He's so nice, and I do love talking to him, but I'm like, "Oh man," but I've gotten used to it and try not to do what I was doing wrong again.
And it's tough. And I'm sure it was probably touching the phone or something like that. Hey, I'm guilty. I drive. And I got to physically restrain myself because I see something pop and I'm like, oh God, I want to look and see what that is. And it's tough. And you don't think, well, I'm really not doing it. But I've had instances where, wow, whoops, okay, because somebody darted or something like that. And it's like, okay, yes. I almost want to take the phone and throw it in the back, but I can't do that. I mean, I just can't.
Well, one time I did accidentally leave it laying on the bed, and the whole drive, I was like, what's going on? Like, oh my gosh, I didn't need my phone. But actually, maybe that would be better if I just did that for a while. And I do have a headset.
So you talk a lot with your kids, I'm sure, right? And your family members. And
I do.
So, and the Bluetooth is very important because, I mean, you got to have that. I mean, I've tried where I take the phone and I set it up here and I got it on speakerphone. I'm so sorry. It was up on my shoulders where I'm showing. So, because I want to be hands-free, but it just didn't work the same.
Well, I have a pretty good headset and it works well. And then I'm like, hey, Google, call so-and-so. Hey, Google, how much further to here? And so Google and I are now best friends.
Yep.
It's always, hey, Google.
And no Siri, just Google?
No, I'm an Android person. But sometimes Android or the Google doesn't listen. I'm like, hey, Google. And they're ignoring me. It's like it's my kid. This is ignoring me. But
so in this industry, you've been in this industry for just a little over a year now. So what is your big loves and likes of this industry?
The freedom. I mean, Drew is not a micromanager. He gives me my load and unless there's an issue, I don't hear from him. He's definitely not like, hey, Crystal, you need to get on the road. You need to do this. You need to do that. A little bit more freedom. You know, if you prove that you can do the job without having to be babysat, then they'll let you do that. And
I'm not saying Decker. I'm saying the industry, the trucking industry.
Right. You do have that freedom. Like, you don't have to clock in at 8 o'clock, be in your desk, ready to go. And so you have all different kinds of times that you can start. And then I have seen some really beautiful country. I've met some pretty awesome people on the road. In fact, I just picked up in Gulfport, Mississippi, picking up a load of bananas out of the port. My first time ever. That was a whole new experience. And I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed being down south. I unfortunately got stuck in Seattle for a week one time when my truck was broke down. I got to adventure through that area.
I lived out in Seattle for a while. I was stationed out there in the Army, and I did a lot of partying out there. And there's some seedy areas, and yeah, you could get lost and in trouble out there.
Yeah, that wasn't where I was at.
Oh, okay.
No, I got a rental car, and Drew recommended this restaurant. It was out on the coast, so I went out to the coast and tried it. I do not remember because I'm old and I forgot the name of it, but they had some of the biggest prawns ever. And so I went out there and ate. And then I wanted to see what Seattle looked like coming in on the ferry because, you know, that's where you see it on the movie. So I rode the ferry in. Then I went to this lake. It was called it was either Crescent Lake or Lake Crescent. And it was up almost to the British Columbia or British, or what is that? Not British Columbia. Vancouver, yeah. Up there. And it was a gorgeous lake. And there was a hiking trail to go see a waterfall. And I did that one day. Beautiful trees. Yeah, I don't really frequent the shady areas, though.
Well, I hope not anyway. Okay. So industry-wide dislikes. What kind of perturbs you about this industry in general? If you could change something, what would you change?
Guys dumping their piss bottles outside. I hate getting out of my truck at a truck stop and all I smell is pee. I mean, it's horrible. And it is giving all truckers a bad name. And it's terrible that, I mean, I am thankful for the Walmarts that let us park there. It's really convenient for us, but I can see why some of them don't. I go to places, there's just nasty trash everywhere. And I hate that that's what people think of us.
Yeah, I agree. You stop on the shoulder of the road and you find them there because they dump. Well, how hard is it to just put it in a garbage can? I mean, so.
Yeah.
Vacations. What's the best vacation you've ever been on?
I took a 12-day vacation with my family, 12 of us, 2 cars. We left from Oklahoma, went up through Colorado. Went to the Budweiser Brewery. We went to the Denver Mint. We went to see my family in Idaho. So we went to Yellowstone National Park. We stayed, I think that's Glacier National Park that's close to that. Is that Glacier? What's that?
Glacier's up in Montana. Yellowstone's by Cody, Wyoming, and no, it can't be the Tetons, is it?
Yeah, there's another park right there next to the Grand Tetons. But we stayed there. Then we ended up coming back down through Las Vegas. Spent a couple days there. Then we went to the Blue Hole in New Mexico, so we could jump in there and try that cold stuff out.
Yeah.
And it was 12 days of just taking everybody for a ride.
Awesome. So favorite meal? What would you, if you could go anywhere to eat anything, what are you turning your head for? Is it going to be something oddball or what? Peanut butter and banana sandwiches there, Elvis, or what?
Well, actually, I love food. But anyways, no, my favorite thing is potato salad and baked beans mixed together. Like that.
That is odd. Okay.
All right. I like to stir it up together and eat it. That's like, but it has to be the baked beans and potato salad that my uncle used to make, but he's deceased now. But if that was my last meal, I'd be okay with that.
Okay. Are you a reader, TV watcher? What are you?
Well, I'm slightly addicted to TikTok right now.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Why? I don't understand. Time flies when you're watching that. But while I'm driving down the road, I've actually started getting books on CD from my local library. And I tell you what, that makes my day go by so much faster. I don't get as tired, like I don't get bored or whatever. And it's like watching Netflix in your brain for the whole shift. I'm like, it's like amazing the stories. And so.
Do you have XM or Sirius?
No.
No? So I had that, and they have a channel on there I listen to all the time. And when my kids were little, it's the old-time radio shows from the 30s, 40s, 50s, and that there. And would go on our 9 hours to our cabin, and I would listen to that the entire way. And the kids had to listen to it. And they're like, Dad, what are you listening to? You got to picture it in your head.
Yes.
And they just still don't to this day. They'd be rather watch TikTok, but...
No, I'm telling you, I enjoy those books. I did have my 17-year-old nephew. He rode with me a couple of months ago, and we listened to a couple of books, and he got excited about it too. We're like, because I like to listen to like kind of like NCIS or something like those kind of like mystery or no chick flicks kind of thing, but something that's
not the
suspenseful.
Hallmark Channel.
No,
okay.
Something that's suspenseful. We want to know who killed who or what happened. So we're like, oh my gosh, what's happening? And it's not like a book. You can't flip to the last chapter and read what happened. You gotta wait it out. But yeah, I really enjoy it.
Cool. So, what advice would you give in final to Decker drivers coming on here? The drivers, you take the drivers that are in orientation right now, and you could go down and you could talk to them to make their experience smoother here. What advice would you give them?
Be patient and be kind. You may have a bad day and you are just like, I don't like this place. I don't like this facility I'm going to. And just, okay, you can be upset that day. Just let it go and start the next day over because it's going to be better. Because I'm telling you, I haven't had 2 bad days in a row. It's just sometimes some people are having a bad day where you go, and it mixes with you where you've kind of had a bad day, and it just happens. So just wake up the next day fresh and clear and give it a go again. Don't act hastily and be like, I'm done with this because you had one bad day. And be kind to those people that you deal with. It does help. I mean, just go in there with a smile, and even if you've just heard them just get gripey with somebody else, they don't have to be gripey with you. You just go in there and make their day. They don't need to make your day every time you go in there. You make their day.
Awesome advice. I say patience is the key to this industry. If you don't have patience,
Yes.
you will not be in this industry for very long. If you can't shake it, and I like it's called etch a sketch for a brain. If you can't just go and then
Right.
just stride over, you're not going to make it very long.
Right.
So, well, Crystal, thank you. Hopefully this wasn't too terrifying for you.
No.
You had a great time.
Yes.
And now you will be famous.
How many followers am I going to get now? No, just kidding.
That's why we didn't give your truck number.
Oh,
Yeah, we don't want them stalking you now.
thank you.
All right. Thank you. And we will talk to you later.
Awesome. Thanks.
As always, thank you for listening to Inside the Triangle. Don't forget to subscribe to us on whatever platform you're listening on. That way you will know when the new episodes drop. And remember, submit your questions to podcast@deckermail.com, and you could be featured on one of our upcoming episodes. The best way to do this is to create a voice memo on your smartphone, record your question, and email it to podcast@deckermail.com. Once again, thank you for listening. Stay driven to be the best.